The challenge of school security at private schools, with older buildings and smaller budgets. And Republicans call on Douglas County's teachers today to lock and load. The delicate task of convincing kids who left school during the pandemic to come back to class.
We don't ask the questions like, where have you been? We say, hey, welcome back. I'm glad to see you.
The ballot measure on developing the Park Hill Golf Course gets the Marshall Zellinger treatment tonight. Straight talk about what will happen and what's just speculation. And this beautiful old house was designed by the same architects who did Union Station. Is that a reason to save it? Tonight on Next. Democrats are rewriting Colorado's gun laws, just as they promised to do before voters delivered them blowout wins last November. A package of 4 Democrat-sponsored gun bills have passed both the House and the Senate at this point. They'll soon head to the governor after some amendments are approved. Democrats are backing off, however, of criminalizing gun possession for people under 21. But they're going to go ahead with a ban on people under 21 buying a gun. So again, okay to possess it, just not to buy it. That's the basis of one of these bills. The others expand the state's red flag laws so that more people can ask judges to seize someone's weapons. They require a 3-day waiting period to buy a gun and make it easier to sue gun manufacturers. Democrats have separated off the most sweeping and most controversial gun control proposal, a plan to ban the purchase of so-called assault weapons. That bill was not included in the package unveiled with the support of Democratic leadership, and it may not have the Democratic votes to pass. There's also the possibility that Democratic Governor Jared Polis might veto it. That bill was scheduled for a committee hearing tomorrow. As of this afternoon, the hearing's no longer on the calendar. So we've been focusing on school safety in Colorado's public schools since last week's shooting at East High in Denver. After that shooting and the shooting at a Christian private school in Nashville that killed 6 people yesterday, there are private schools in our area that are also reevaluating their security. We talked with Deacon Ernie Martinez, who oversees security for the Archdiocese of Denver. He spent 40 years with Denver Police. Martinez says, like public schools, they too are struggling to find the funding to beef up security.
Resources are always an issue. I mean, you don't have enough resources whether you're a big school district like Denver Public Schools or the smallest, Christian community. You never have enough resources. So what do? You leverage whatever available resources you have and ensure that there's proper training involved and awareness and implementation of a good quality program to ensure safety.
Martinez says some private schools face unique problems when it comes to security, like smaller budgets and older buildings. But he noted that they're often able to collaborate with nearby public schools, pooling their resources and working together on training. Dougco School District leadership is rejecting calls today by the local Republican Party that they should arm their teachers in response to recent school shootings. The Douglas County Republican Party published a letter today to School Board President Mike Peterson. Republicans are asking the Dougco School Board to give trained staff the choice to carry guns at local schools where SROs are not available. According to the district's website, several law enforcement agencies already provide full-time SROs to middle and high schools, as well as patrol services to elementary schools. The Dougco GOP argues that this leaves elementary schools vulnerable. Dougco Superintendent Erin Keynes previously said that she's in favor of charter schools being able to arm their teachers, but she said that she does not see the need for Dougco's neighborhood school teachers to be armed. This is Kane from last March as she was applying for her job at a public hearing.
I am not in favor of arming teachers in Douglas County. I certainly do not do that in any of my schools. It is entirely unnecessary. Here in Douglas County, we have law enforcement only a few moments away. And we are blessed with school resource officers.
The Douglas County Teachers Union is also against this county GOP proposal to arm teachers. The union president, a 3rd grade teacher, Lucy Squire, told us that school shooters often turn out to be former or current students and that teachers should not be in that split-second position to decide whether to shoot one of their own students. Colorado still has thousands of school kids missing from class since sometime during the pandemic. They left, they dropped out, never came back. Schools have found that going directly to those students' homes, one-on-one, can sometimes convince them to return. Our Mark Salinger looks at how that's going in places like Greeley.
So you have 4, you can borrow 3.
Inside Greeley Central High School.
It's a Tuesday, April 18.
Adriana Herrera has found her focus.
No, I didn't think I would like the school this much.
Today, she's organizing a cultural day of celebration. Not too long ago, she didn't think she'd make it to junior year inside a classroom.
I didn't understand like the school, didn't understand classes, and it was so hard for me.
When the pandemic hit, Adriana felt lost, learning from home while also learning English. She was one of thousands of students across the state that stopped coming to class, even when schools reopened. She found working to help her family was more important.
I was working on the fields where I was able to help my family even a little bit. It wasn't like a lot.
Attendance in places like Greeley has dropped since the pandemic. Bringing students back to class starts with people
She has a fence where they're trying to...
like Cynthia Esquivel.
She told me, oh, I'm in the fields, I'm helping my family, and this is what's going on.
Cynthia works with Zero Dropouts, an organization that's contracted with Greeley-Evans District 6 to help students get back to class and stay there. So far, it's working.
I told her, well, then let's make a plan. You know, I don't want to have to tell you to stop working, but school is a priority. Like, let's talk about your future.
We followed Cynthia last summer as she went door to door in Greeley, trying to find kids at their homes who were missing from class.
This student hasn't showed up to school.
It's the same way she got Adriana to give school another chance.
Adriana was pretty much just shutting herself down. She was just saying, you know what, I don't have potential.
She saw many opportunities in me that I was being able to be a good student.
Adriana is now a leader for her school and her family.
Me realizing that I had an opportunity in life. They wasn't like just like working in the fields, and my parents also like.
Adriana told me that she came to the realization that working in the fields like she was during the pandemic can help her family buy food for just a couple weeks. By studying to get a degree, she said she can help them for the rest of their lives. She eventually wants to become an architect to help design homes for other people living with multiple generations in their family, like she is.
The school district does a number of things to reach out to these families. I mean, the knock on the door is not like the first step when a kid's not in school.
Yeah, I had a long conversation with the principal at Greeley Central High School today, and he was telling me that every day that somebody doesn't come to school, they have a robocall that calls their parents. That doesn't always work. It's much better with a knock on the door saying, hey, we want you back.
All right, Mark, thank you. Denver voters rejected Mayor Michael Hancock's proposal for a new sports arena in 2021. So the development of the Park Hill Golf Course, that could be as close as Mayor Hancock comes to a signature project on his way out of office. Denver voters are turning in ballots right now to decide whether that land will be developed by the investment group that bought it more than 3 years ago. Politics guy Marshall Zellinger looks at what's likely to happen if that ballot measure passes or fails.
What are Denver voters really getting if they vote yes or no on 2-0, the fate of Park Hill Golf Course? If it's yes, there is already an agreement in writing between Westside, the investment firm that owns the golf course, and the city, and another one between Westside and several community groups. But what is binding and required, and what's just hopeful? The agreement with the city requires 80 acres on the east side to be given to the city for a park, with another 20 acres at least for open space. The west side, closest to Colorado Boulevard in yellow, can be developed with housing and businesses. The blue section is residential. The buildings will max out at 5, 8, and 12 stories. The agreements also include several requirements for affordable housing. 25% of the homes must be income restricted. 300 of the income restricted homes must be sold, not just apartments. 40 homes must be for what's defined as extremely low income residents, from individuals making less than $25,000 to a family of 6 making less than $41,000. The agreement with the community groups, not the city, calls for a set amount of commercial space to be offered at below market value and a plot of land for a grocery store to be offered rent-free for 10 years. It doesn't mean a grocery store will be built, just that it has to be rent-free for a while.
It's an agreement that runs with the land, meaning that if Westside ever decides to sell that land to any other developer, those commitments still exist.
Bill Rigler represents the Yes on 2-0 group, which today is responding to questions about what happens if voters say no. The publication Westward reported that a Topgolf could be built next to the part that must stay a golf course.
Westside would not exclude consideration of any allowable use under the easement, and that would include a Topgolf-like use.
We have the opportunity to make it a park, simply because the business case for running a golf course has never made any sense.
Harry Doby represents the no on 2-0 side, which wants to see the land as a park, not a golf course. But a 2019 agreement between the city and West Side calls for the land to be restored to an 18-hole golf course if it is not allowed to be developed. Is no on 2-0 not interested in any affordable housing on this park land?
It makes no sense to build on it when we are building around it.
He's referencing unrelated projects that are building housing in the area, just not at the Park Hill Golf Course. I mentioned those two agreements, the one with the city and the one with the community groups. They are both legally binding. The one with the community groups has more financial-based incentives, like a fund that will cover property tax growth for residents within a half mile for 8 years. And as I mentioned, a discount on rent for commercial businesses owned by women and minorities, and the possible grocery store. And again, I say possible because it's not written that it has to be there or must be there, just that there are incentives to try to get one there.
I think one thing that strikes me, Marshall, when you lay out the numbers like this is kind of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity in terms of the size of this piece of land. But when we talk about the actual numbers of units going in, you could put those numbers of units at any number of different places in the city by building up.
Oh, sure, yeah. If you build vertically, absolutely. 25%, as I said, have to be low income or income restricted. But that includes, if I look at the chart, and I didn't show the numbers of the entire chart, you could be talking about somebody who makes a teacher's salary, somebody who's making, in the $40,000 to $70,000. That would be considered as part of this group. That 40 number that we showed earlier with the really extremely low income people. I mean, that's people, again, 0 to a family of 6 with 41,000, I think is what I said. But just 40 of those homes. But then they'd be there at least. There's 40 people that'd be fighting for that probably.
All right, Marshall, thank you for the breakdown. So Denver's next mayor is going to oversee what comes next for the Park Hill Golf Course, development or not. And we've asked all 16 candidates currently on the ballot where they stand on this issue. Here you go. 7 candidates for mayor say that they will be voting yes for this ballot measure to develop the Park Hill Golf Course property. Chris Hansen, Thomas Wolf, Andy Rougeau, Debbie Ortega, Mike Johnson, Al Gardner, and Kelly Brough. 9 mayoral candidates say that they will vote no. They oppose the current proposal on the ballot for developing the property. That's Terrence Roberts, Leslie Herod, Trinidad Rodriguez, Lisa Calderon, Ian Tafoya, Aurelio Martinez, Renata Behrens, Robert Tretta, and Jim Walsh. If you would like to know where the candidates for Denver mayor stand on a wide range of issues, I invite you to check out our extensive candidate guide. First time that we've done something with this level of detail. We've never seen this many candidates in the race before. You can pick the candidates one by one and learn about their platforms, or just pick an issue that's important to you and then read all the candidates' views on that issue all together in one place. That's in the voter guide on 9news.com.
The effort to stop millions of barrels of oil from being brought through Colorado. And this home is 120 years old, but is it historic? Depends on who you ask.
Just because a building hasn't already been designated historic doesn't mean that it's not historic.
The fight to save or scrap a home near City Park. Next.
We're about to see a test of what kind of sway Colorado's Democrats in Congress have with the Biden administration, because they're trying to stop a proposed railway project that would transport oil through Colorado's mountain towns. Democratic Senator and Congressman Joe Neguse want the EPA to conduct another study of the Uinta Basin Railway project. It would move millions of barrels of oil through Utah and Colorado. EPA already did a review, but Bennett and Neguse say it really only looked at the environmental impact on Utah. Critics on the western slope have raised concerns about this proposal. They're worried that an oil spill could get into the headwaters of the Colorado River or hit nearby farmland. State and national representatives from Colorado have made a number of requests to halt this project. It already has the preliminary permit, but opponents want the federal government to hold off on final approval until they do that additional study.
Alrighty, everyone, time to get a quick check of your forecast on this Tuesday. Not too bad. Temperatures in the 50s, even up towards the 30s near Greeley, Sidney, and Sterling. A few 60s peppered in there down towards the south and eastern plains. Speaking of which, the south and eastern plains are under a red flag warning up until 7 o'clock this evening. Gusts between 30 and 40 miles per hour possible. We also have a high wind watch and a fire weather watch in effect. The fire weather watch is in effect for Denver down through Colorado Springs and out towards Kit Carson and Lamar. Overnight low temperatures tonight in the 20s. High temperatures for tomorrow. We'll do the middle 50s. A quick check of the 7-day forecast for us, as we're expecting things to be a little bit different Thursday night into Friday with some morning snow. A very nice weekend ahead of us, though.
Neighbors and developers disagree over the historic value of a 120-year-old home in City Park.
Houses like this are Denver's history. It wasn't considered historic. Now all of a sudden that we want to demolish it and develop it, now all of a sudden it's historic.
The debate over the home's past and its future. Next. The tension between Denver's need for more housing units and the desire to preserve the city's history often plays out lot by lot. On one lot west of City Park sits a 120-year-old home. A developer wants to tear it down. Neighbors say it's special enough to preserve.
There are a few really special and authentic places in our city that help tell our story. 1741 Gaylord is one of those places.
We bought the property knowing that it wasn't historic, and we plan to develop it.
Historic Denver believes that it should be saved. We are taking our lead from the local community.
1741 North Gaylord was built in 1902. The original owners were big-time grocers in the city at the time. They had commissioned Gove and Walsh, the same architects that did Union Station, to build this house. The wife of the second owner, James Berger, his wife Edith Berger, was one of the founders of Children's Hospital, and she would have done her work on behalf of Children's Hospital from this house. One of the really good things that has come out of this process is that we rediscovered that.
We bought it, we did a lot of research on it, it wasn't considered historic. Now all of a sudden that we want to demolish it and develop it, now all of a sudden it's historic. So we're building workforce housing. There's 37 units and there's a parking spot for each person, so 38 parking spots. So we're trying to build something that we really think supports the neighborhood. Oh, we're definitely helping this neighborhood. We're definitely helping this neighborhood. People need a place to live.
We're very supportive of growth and development in our city, and we believe that historic buildings are one of the answers to our housing challenges. This home, for example, can become apartments. There's space on this lot to build more units.
You know, we would welcome that kind of compromise in here on this.
Denver is very short on housing where people want to live, and we're trying to solve that problem a little bit at a time.
It's architecturally important, it's historically important, it's just not one that we should have to say goodbye to.
Denver City Council will consider that landmark designation in a public hearing on April 24th. Feedback this evening from a Denverite who is holding on to a ballot for mayor until we answer a question for her. So we'll do it next. Feedback tonight from Marisa, who actually writes something that I hear about in person from a number of folks in Denver as well. She says, as I prepare to get my ballot ready for mayor, out of my favorite 4 candidates, favorite 4 of the 16, I want to see who has the best chance of winning. Do you have current polling on the candidates? No, we don't have current polling. 9 News is the only media organization, along with our partners, the Denver Gazette, Colorado Politics, MSU Denver, who did a poll in the mayor's race so far and publicly released it. And that poll was out in the field, meaning they were talking to people a month ago. And at that point, there were a handful of candidates at 5%, Lisa Calderon, Mike Johnson, Kelly Bruff. There were 2 at 4%, Chris Hansen, Debbie Ortega. You had 10 candidates at 3 to 1%. Can't help you. See you next time.